Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Family, the only place where your hard-earned Ivy League spot can make you the villain. Today in the rLounge, sometimes the very people who should be your biggest supporters can flip the script and treat your success as a threat. Stepdad wants me to drop off college because his son would be hurt and mom supported him. I cut them off. Okay, where do I start? I, 20 male, have cut off my family, particularly my mom. Others don't exist for me. It began 2 years ago when I secured a seat in an Ivy League college. It was the happiest day of my life. I had worked my butt off for years. I sacrificed my sleep, my social life, and even my mental health to make sure I had the grades and extracurriculars to back it up. Getting into an Ivy League school wasn't just about the prestige. It was about proving to myself that all my hard work was worth something. I was over the moon. I broke the news to my mom, and she was ecstatic, dancing and hugging me. However, the same news did not excite her husband and his son. Yeah, my family dynamic is slightly complicated. So my father died when I was 12. My mom remarried 3 years later to this crap bag. I'll address him as John. I never called him Dad, though he wanted me to. I just couldn't. John never really liked me. He's always been the type of guy who thinks the world revolves around him, and his main concern was making sure his son, Billy, didn't feel less than in any way. Billy is a year older than me, but a complete loser like his father. He didn't work, didn't study, and had no plans for his future. He was just cruising through life, happy to sponge off our parents. I always maintained a distance from them. I mostly kept it to myself. I wasn't bothered about him or what he did with his life, but when John started his dirty games to pull me back from achieving my dreams, I had to dig in the dirt. And here's where the conflict began. So when I broke the news about my selection, John gave a weird look to my mom and all her excitement vanished, and she sat down beside him. I asked him what's the matter. He said no. It was just so sudden that you got me. Then, hesitantly, he asked me when did I apply for it and how would I even manage the expenses. I said my father has left the money for my college tuition. I'm going to use that. He looked at Mom and said, "Oh, that money. But you should have looped us in your plans." I was in no mood for argument, so I politely replied, "I wasn't so hopeful for the selection. It's not an easy grab, hence wanted to wait for the results before telling anyone." He asked me if I didn't even tell my mother about this, and I said no, I didn't even tell her. Then he was satisfied with my answer. Felt like I was being interrogated on the charges of securing a seat. I informed them about the dates when I would be leaving and asked Mom to liquidate my fund ASAP. Ever since I was born, my dad put aside money in a trust for my college tuition, and after his death, it was under my mom's control until I turned 18. John and my mom were, let's just say, less than thrilled. In fact, they were straight up against it. They didn't see it as the life-changing opportunity I did. They saw it as a threat. The next morning, Mom came to me and very timidly told me that I should consider joining a community college nearby and drop my idea of going to Ivy League school. Naturally, I freaked out and asked her what's the matter. She said nothing, just that she was too scared to send me to a far-off place. No matter how much I pestered, she gave the same answer. I broke down helplessly. I expected her to be proud. I mean, who wouldn't be? But instead, she was asking me to kill my dreams. Then she broke down and said, "John wants this. He isn't happy about it. He's worried that Billy would be hurt." I lost my crap and started yelling why the hell is he behind me and stuff like that. John stepped inside my room. That moment I realized he had been snooping on us the entire time, and that's why Mom was so nervous and careful in her words. Initially, he was calm and said he was proud of my achievements, but as a parent, they need to be fair to both children. Hence, it wasn't fair that I go to premium institutes while my brother got a community college education. I was stunned. Billy, who hadn't lifted a finger to do anything with his life, was suddenly the victim because I had achieved something. I argued that I've slogged my butt day and night for 2 years. I've sacrificed all my happiness, comfort, and leisure for my dream. When it was my moment to see it come true, they shattered it just because it would make his son look like a loser. This is not something I'm going to accept. John got furious that I called Billy a loser. Well, that's the truth. He's a bum. He doesn't move his butt the whole day, checks out my female friends who visit me, and spreads rumors about me and my friends. Billy was also home, and he ganged up with John to corner me, saying I have no right to comment on him or raise my voice at John. He pounded to punch me in the face, but I dodged. I'm not a junkie like him who would get in these fights. So I told him that if he ever tries to do this again, I'm going to report the cops about the shady activities his gang is involved in at his friend's garage. He swiftly backed off, cursing and calling me names. I told John and my mom I was going to college whether they liked it or not, and that's when things really escalated. John threatened to cut me off financially unless I dropped out. He said the money from my dad was under my mom's control now, and they would make sure I didn't see a dime of it if I went through with my plan. He even had the nerve to suggest I take a gap year to rethink my choice and give Billy the time to catch up in life. I looked up to my mom for support. I was like, can you please have my back, at least now? When he can stand solid with his deadbeat son, why can't you back me up for once? My mom was such a doormat that, to avoid the heat, she started sobbing and said, "What can I do now? I'm torn in between. We need to respect his wishes. He's the head of the family." Head of the family? My butt. I stormed out saying this. This was the first time ever I used such words in front of my mom. I spent the day at my friend's. When I went home late in the night, my mom came to me. She was upset about how things had escalated in the morning. I thought she was sorry about not standing up for me, but boy, was I wrong. She told me that my decision was ruining her marriage, and if my dream of attending an Ivy League school was even worth jeopardizing her marriage over. I was speechless. It felt like I was living in some messed up parallel universe where logic didn't exist. She begged me to obey John, not for my own good, but because she was scared her marriage would fall apart, as I didn't massage her husband's hollow ego. I snapped at her that I was done getting manipulated by her sobs and tears. I told her it sounded like her problem. If her marriage was that fragile, maybe it wasn't worth saving. Then came the real kicker. She got into an aggressive mode. She gave me an ultimatum. Either I choose her and join a community college, or I choose my dream school and leave for good. It was an impossible choice for most people, but for me, it was crystal clear. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her I had a better option. Either she chooses me or her husband. And guess what? She chose him. No brainer. She and John tried to resist giving me my father's fund, but I involved my dad's lawyer. One phone call from him and she handed me the documents and the check. I packed my stuff and left for college. Since then, I've never looked back. I'm in the second year of the 4-year program. I won't say I'm thriving and stuff like that. Securing a seat in these colleges is one thing and graduating from them is another. You literally have to trade off your sweat and blood for the degree, and that's why it's so prestigious. So, all this drama happened 2 years ago, and now from a week back, my mom is texting me, asking me about my life updates. And yesterday she told me she was coming to visit me. I replied to her that I don't want to meet her, but she sent me her flight ticket. She said she was sorry and wanted to mend the fence. Now I'm confused. A part of me just wants to ghost her, but the naive, innocent part of me wants to confront her and see what she has to say, and also heed her about her toxic marriage. It's tough when those who should support you end up trying to undermine your achievements, especially when you've worked so hard to get where you are, OP. If you're leaning towards confrontation, it could be an opportunity to express how her choices affected you and to set boundaries for the future. However, it's also okay to prioritize your own well-being and decide not to engage with her if that feels right. Ultimately, you deserve to be surrounded by people who celebrate your success and lift you up, not those who hold you back. Trust your instincts. Update 1. Hey guys, sorry for the late update. Though I gave the insights in bits and pieces in the comments, but here's the complete details. So after a lot of contemplation, I met my mother. Initially, it was all warm and fun. I gave her a city tour, took her out for dinner and stuff. We both avoided the topic. Then, on the day she was about to leave, she addressed the elephant in the room. She started off by saying, "It was so fun to spend these 2 days with you. Brought back so many memories of your childhood." I said, "I hope it was still that way. It used to be so good when Dad was here. After he was gone, I still used to enjoy hanging out with you when it was just us. Just the two of us." She interrupted, "Yes, but now we have a family and we need to respect each other. It would have been so much fun if John and Billy tagged along and we all enjoyed it as a family." That moment changed my entire perspective of her. I wanted to stop her right there, but I let her continue to see where she goes. She was in tears saying, "John loves you as much as he loves Billy. He was upset because he was scared to send you so far. There was one more reason why he objected to your enrollment. He wanted to use that money to fund his business, but I didn't give it to him. I gave it to you. I chose you over him. That's why he showed little tantrums. You're a man now. You know how men behave when they don't get what they want, especially when it involves money. They get cranky." Then, after talking some BS and beating around the bush, she said, "Dear, I was wondering if you could call John and apologize, or probably invite him here over the weekend. I'm sure he would forgive you if you make an effort." I stared at her in disbelief, and she dismissed it, saying, "Oh, come on. Be a man. Just say sorry and iron up things." Apparently, she wanted me to apologize for stirring the pot and causing all this tension in her married life. I was furious. Not only was she asking me to apologize for something I had every right to do, pursue an education, but she was also acting like I was responsible for her husband's crappy behavior. I told her straight up I won't apologize to that scumbag. She lost it and raised her voice. You've grown up to be a selfish brat. All you care about is yourself. You caused the trouble in my marriage. I get to bear the brunt of your stupid decision. My husband is suffering financially because I didn't invest in his business and rather gave you the money, and now I have to bear his tantrums. Amidst all this, I just requested you to apologize and straighten out the things. That's also too much for you. I was like, hold on. You didn't do me a favor by handing over my money to me. That money was rightfully mine. My dad has saved it for me. And you need to grow a backbone and divorce your deadbeat husband if he's making your life that miserable. If you're in a hot soup as you claim, it's because you chose a terrible man as your partner. She picked up her bag and left. I was supposed to drive her down to the airport, but after that argument, I didn't want to have any contact with her. I'm just done with her. She might have hailed a cab or bus, I don't know. Neither do I care. So, that's about it. I plan to remain no contact with all of them as I was for the last 2 years. End of family drama, and now I'm back to slogging my butt for the degree. Gah. It's frustrating to hear her trying to shift blame onto you for her choices and her marriage problems. You have every right to pursue your education, and it's disheartening to see her prioritize John over your hard-earned achievements. Going no contact seems like the best option at this point, OP. Update 2. Hey guys, it's been a long time, 2 years precisely. I'm not sure if the previous folks are around to be interested in my update. Nevertheless, posting it. Link to the first 2 posts here. As I said, I remained no contact with my mom and others. However, a few months later, Mom started contacting me again, texting regularly to check on me, sending cards on birthdays and Christmas, sending a voicemail, and calling. I never responded to her calls or texts, but sometimes I just reply thank you to her wishes. I also told her twice not to bother me because I don't want a mother who cannot stand with me against odds, but she continued as if she was following some rituals. I stopped getting bothered. I made my life in college, and I'm just about to graduate and have my bachelor's degree. But, drum rolling, I already got a job. I bagged a fantastic offer in the college placement. I can't name the company, but it's a Big 4. I'm on my way to building a solid future for myself. But, as always, my mom and John aren't far behind, trying to inject their drama into my life. As my graduation day is approaching, my mom has been blasting my phone, asking me for the invite. Apparently, she and John wanted to come to my graduation to celebrate my success. I flat out told her no. There was no way in hell I was going to let the two of them who actively tried to sabotage my education stand by and pretend they had supported me all along. They didn't get to share my success after doing everything they could to make sure I didn't achieve it. She didn't take no to be an answer and continued to pester me for the hall pass. Her texts display all sorts of emotions but anger. Sometimes she's teary that I don't want her, and sometimes she's guilt-trippy that she's my mother and she has raised me the best she could, yet I have cut her off. She says seeing me graduate is like her dream coming true, and I'm denying her that moment of happiness. But I didn't budge. Now, my final exams are over, the results are out, I got a job, and my graduation day is on coming Friday. I didn't tell my mom about my placement, but a week ago my friend posted a story congratulating me on bagging the offer, and I shared his story on my Insta. That's how my placement news reached them, and since then, John has been blowing up my phone. No texts, only calls. I ignored his calls for a while, then I was like, let me face it. I responded and he jumped straight into business. Rephrasing what he said, dude, I don't know what game your mother is up to. I don't get it. I don't care. All I know is you owe me the money you took away. You used up all the money we had for your college. I needed that money for my business, and your mother gave it to you. I got to know you bagged some fancy job. Now I want that money back. I laughed in his face. I told him I don't owe him a single cent. That money was of my father, and no one has any claim on that, not even my mother. He got furious and screamed, then why did your mother tell me she had so much money when we were dating? I asked her to put it into my business, but she kept stalling, and then it gave it to you. I was done listening to his crap. I also yelled at him that I don't want to be dragged into their crappy mess. All I know is I don't owe anyone anything. That money was rightfully mine. My dad has saved up for me, and it's there in his will. He then cussed my mother and said, I quote, I don't know what that woman is up to. She's been telling me she's coddling you and wants to attend your stupid day to get you to return the money. But look, my patience is running thin. I don't want to waste myself attending your stuff. All I want is the money. This revelation punched me in the gut. So my mom has been trying to emotionally manipulate me. She wasn't happy or proud of my success as she had been claiming. She was doing everything to make me return the money to John. I didn't say anything to him after that. I just zoned out and hung up. He called me several times after that, but I didn't respond, and later I blocked him. I also blocked my mother, but before that, I texted her that John exposed her true intentions, and now I don't want to call her mom. I was so distraught and numb for the next 2 days. I know my mom's a timid woman, and she can't call out John and Billy for their BS, but I didn't know she was such a player, that she would go behind my back and manipulate me for the money. Glad I didn't buy her crap. Wow, way to go, OP. It's impressive how you've managed to stay true to yourself and your boundaries despite all the pressure from your mom and John. Ignoring their attempts to reconnect shows a lot of strength, especially with everything you've been accomplishing. Blocking both of them is the smartest move. Keep focusing on your journey and don't let their toxic behavior overshadow your accomplishments. Update 3. Hey you guys, sorry for not updating this often. Work has been very hectic. Also, nothing significant happened until recently. To give you the timeline, it's been 7 months since my last update. Since the conversation with John and my last text to Mom, things have been silent. I graduated. No one was there to cheer for me. Just my friends. I started my career. I'm doing well financially. I'm happy with the choices I made for myself. I thought I was done with my family drama for good until my mom showed up at my office. She didn't know where I lived, but she figured out my workplace and showed up. I had to meet her as she was waiting at the reception. She started sobbing on seeing me and hugged me. I wanted to shrug her off, but I avoided any confrontation in my office. I took her out to a nearby cafe. She insisted I take her to my home, but I refused it. She told me John had divorced her because she was unable to get the money back from me, and now she was lonely and wanted to rebuild our bond. I was amazed at how conveniently she reached out to me and expressed her desire to bond as if nothing had happened. I confronted her the truth I got to know from John. She said, "People lie sometimes to save a relationship, but this doesn't mean I want behind your back. I never intended to give him your money. That's why I kept stalling it and ultimately gave it to you because it was yours." I lost my mind at her manipulations and asked her why then she had to lie to John. She said, "After your dad passed away, I've been lonely. We need a partner. I was hoping you would understand this, now that you're a mature man. Do you think he would have married me if I didn't tell him about the money I owned? You think he would have stayed if I told him I wouldn't give him the money? I did everything to keep the family together." I stared at her, wondering if she was the same woman who gave birth to me, who raised me, and whom I used to love so much. I said, "You didn't do anything for the family. There was no family. Our family was over the day you brought that bum into our life. You did everything for yourself because you were afraid to remain single." She started crying that marrying John was the worst decision of her life, and now that they're divorced, I should give her the chance. I reminded her of all the times she chose him over me. She didn't just betray me once. She did it over and over again, and when I needed her the most, she sided with the man who tried to destroy my future. I told her I was done and I didn't trust her anymore. She had made her choice years ago, and now she has to live with it. I'm not responsible for her loneliness or her bad decisions. I have my own life to live, and I'm finally at peace. She said she came to me with a lot of hope, and now she was heartbroken. I stood up saying, "You reap what you sow." I came back to my office and instructed the receptionist not to give my address or any details to anyone who came looking for me. I do feel bad for cutting her off. She's my only family, so to say, but sometimes you have to take harsh decisions that protect yourself. Graduating and starting your career is a huge accomplishment, and it's great to hear you're doing well financially and feeling happy with your choices. It's a shame your mom couldn't see the value in that before, but it seems like she's only interested in what you can offer her now that her situation with John has changed. Your decision to protect your peace is important. You've worked hard to build a life for yourself, and it sounds like you're prioritizing your well-being. It's tough to cut ties with family, especially when there's a history, but sometimes it's necessary. Keep focusing on yourself and your future. You're doing amazing things. Do you have a similar story? Share it with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon. And please put your chair back where you found it.